I call the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, I thank the Deputy Cultural Attaché who's just resumed his seat. And I would like to do something somewhat unusual, Mr Speaker. Don't get your hopes up too far. Not to indicate the opposition's support for this government bill, because we've been doing that on a number of measures lately based on the idea that when it's good we'll support it and when it's not we'll call it. On this one we think it is good and we call it. What I do want to do is something that I haven't done for a while, and the Honourable Minister Peter Dunn will echo this. I want to compliment him personally for the role that he's played in this. Not only is it a sensible outcome, Minister, but I want to personally congratulate you on the role that you have played in keeping the costs of the 10-year passport under control. For those who aren't aware, the Minister, Peter Dunn, actually overrode, or shall we say leaned against, Treasury advice that would have set it at and audit advice that would have set it at a much higher level. And I think New Zealanders have Peter Dunn to thank for that. Beyond that, this is a shared enterprise. It was actually Phil Goff and Trevor Mallard who brought the idea to me when I was leader that we would put in our manifesto a commitment to the 10-year passport, and we did. So this is a bipartisan commitment to something which is citizen-friendly, taxpayer-friendly, and a heck of a lot easier to use. Why then was the passport changed from 10 to 5 years? And the answer is because in the immediate aftermath of the horrific terrorist attack in 9/11, it was decided, based on the technology at the time, that it was more secure for New Zealanders, both travelling and at home, that a 5-year passport be introduced because it was easier to control and its renewability meant that that could be future-proof. That's why it was done, even though it was always going to be a little more costly for the citizen. A reasonable justification at the time. But as members opposite have said, and we concur, the technology has moved on. And those concerns about fraud, and I concur with member Mr Hudson, that this is a matter, New Zealand passports are highly sought after on the black market because New Zealand is a country highly regarded for its integrity and the integrity of its systems. Therefore, it was right to protect the 5-year passport until the technology had advanced to the point where collectively we could be confident that a 10-year period was safe. And it's common ground across the House that that time has now come. The time has come to reverse the change from 10 to 5 and to put it back from 5 to 10. And I think New Zealanders will welcome that. It makes travelling life a lot easier and simpler, and in the end, and again I want to commend Peter Dunn for this, less costly. Mr Speaker, if I can I note that Internal Affairs will be making plans to redeploy staff in the period after 2020 as demand drops, because it stands to reason, sir, that if the passports aren't being issued so often, not so many will be issued, and therefore less people will be involved in issuing them, even though they are a higher grade document. So we accept that there will be some managerial changes at DIA to accommodate that change. Mr Speaker, the Select Committee hasn't made a lot of changes to this bill. There are a number of very minor technical amendments, and I actually mean it this time. There's a phrase often in the jargon when officials come and tell the Minister that there are a few minor technical amendments to the bill. That usually means they've completely rewritten it. But in this case, no, it actually means what it says. The amendments are minor and they're technical. Sir, I think in the context of the debates of the last weeks, and given that this is an international matter, it wouldn't be outside the scope of this third reading speech to say that we on the Labour benches would welcome it if the government would be equally transparent about other international matters that they are currently progressing as they are with this international matter. If we had the same level of transparency on the costs and benefits of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement that we have on the costing of a 10-year passport, the entire public debate would be better informed.
Order, you are stretching the limits here. Just stay on the bill. The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, the very analysis which the Honourable Peter Dunn as Minister had to enter into, which is documented in the regulatory impact statement and officials' advice, where he quantified the upsides and downsides of all of the options, and where he modelled out both the static and the dynamic effects and then made a judgment which wasn't necessarily in line with the recommendation, but was the right call and done on a transparent and objective basis. Would that the same process could be applied to other matters, which I won't mention? Would that the same process of quantifying both the upsides and the downsides of what can be quantified and exposing the difference between that which is science and that which is judgment in a transparent way? And following the Minister's practice here, if the effects today, the static effects and the effects over time, the dynamic effects, in this case the impact on DIA staff levels and processing systems, if the same methodology could be brought to bear on other international matters, well, what a pleasant change that would be, what a great public debate that would engender. But on some important international matters, Mr Speaker, of course, that opportunity is not being afforded to the public.
Come back.
Not being afforded to the public.
We're not talking about other agreements. We're coming onto this one.
Far be it now to mention other agreements. But we do want transparency. We do want good judgment. We do want to expose the difference between static and dynamic, between objective and judgmental calls. And I don't think that that's too much to ask, sir. Let me summarise and conclude. Labor supports this bill. Labor thinks 10-year passports are a good idea. They were in our manifesto last year, and we're very happy to credit the current Minister, the Honourable Peter Dunn, with a job well done in not only getting this through the government, but also getting it through at a cost that is reasonable to the taxpayer. Mr Speaker, we commend the bill. We're happy to see it on its way, and it's one of many things that we would be doing to ensure that New Zealanders get the services of Her Majesty's government at a cost they can afford with an intent that supports the public and the citizen interest. Thank you.